Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome here to the launch pad. My name's Zach. I'm the host here at the pad, and thank you so much for joining us for our live launch coverage of Starlink-20. I'm just getting the last few things set up. We've still got just over about 30 minutes until the scheduled liftoff, so stick with me here. I'll be back in just a couple moments, and we will get started. Welcome here to the launch pad. I'll be right back. There we go. I think we're back on there. Took a little second. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome here to the Launchpad. My name's Zach. I'm the host here at the pad, and we're just getting everything pulled up for the launch of Starlink-20 from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station on Slick 40. We just passed the T-minus 20-minute mark, and we should be expecting to see SpaceX go live here in the next about 10 minutes or so. So let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Feel free to like and share out the broadcast. Let people know that we're having a launch here tonight. Now, obviously, it is the middle of the night, so we're expecting a little bit of a smaller crowd, but we're excited if you are here, and we're just going to get into this here. We're just pulling up the SpaceX feed. We'll just put this down in the bottom right corner just until we see them actually go live here. Pulling everything up. There we go. But so far, the weather has been showing that it's been clear for this evening. We're expecting a 90% go at the last pull that they did. They did start propellant load of the second stage. Hello, Patrick and Sean. But a little bit about today's mission. So again, this is the Starlink, the 20th launch of Starlink, of the V1 version of the Starlink satellite, launching with SpaceX. Tonight it's launching on booster 1058, and this is the 6th flight for this booster, and it's a 46-day turnaround. Just read the instructions. The drone ship is stationed off the coast, about 633 kilometers downrange, ready to recover that booster, as well as Go Searcher and Go Navigator are over 700 kilometers downrange, ready to recover the Fahrenheits from the water. Now, both of them we haven't seen have had their nets put back up, as they were doing some repairs and renovations to those ships, so they are going to be retrieving from the water. Looks like SpaceX is started up here right away, so we will pull that in here in just a moment. There we go. And yeah, so if you have any questions, let us know, and I will answer those for you here. And we'll wait for SpaceX, as they always generally give us some more details. Some more stats about tonight's flight. This is the first and second fastest turnaround time for Fahrenheits. So one half has been turned around in 88 days. The other has been turned around in 110 days. And then the booster's been turned around in 46 days, beating the record of 59. So SpaceX definitely getting that rapid reusability all set up. And really picking up that speed. They want to see Starlink launching at minimum every 2 weeks as they expand and complete the first shell of the Starlink system and move on to launching the second shell for it. If you don't know what Starlink is, head over to Starlink.com. I'm sure SpaceX will also tell us a little bit more about it once they're live here. But Starlink is a way of getting internet access pretty much anywhere in the world, and it is open for you to register and sign up for now. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get sent your satellite package immediately. What they're doing right now is collecting a deposit if you are interested, if it is available in your region. And then on a case-by-case basis, but also first come, first serve, they're releasing those packages out to you and charging the remaining balance. I know up here in Canada, I believe it was $7.49 or $8.49 for the dish, and then just over $100 a month for it. So they'll deep dive into that. If you want to know if it's available in your area, head over to Starlink.com as they are working on completing this first shell. Now, Starlink is going to be composed of 5 different shells. The first shell is going to be at 53 degrees of inclination at a 550 kilometer orbital altitude. This is going to include 1,584 satellites. Over the next 4 shells, it is going to range on a higher and a lower orbit and very different inclinations. So there's going to be a 53 degree, 53.2 degree, 70 degree, 97.6 degree, and another 97.6 degree at different altitudes. All in all, they are planning on launching over 14,000 satellites, as they are deorbiting the older ones or ones that are having errors. Obviously, once they get Starship, they're going to be able to proceed with this at a much faster rate, as currently they can only launch 60 Starlink satellites as a maximum on Falcon 9. Starship is estimated to carry over 400 per launch. So that is going to help them quickly get to that point. Starlink also is in the planning stages for when they start deploying over to Mars to send a Starship full of Starlink satellites to help bring some satellite coverage and everything to the first base region. And then I guess as future expands, they could do a full Starlink shell system around the entire surface of Mars. Again, this is the 20th launch. I want to say this is the 5th or 6th one we've seen already this year, so getting quite rapid. We did see a failure during recovery of a booster a couple launches ago, so we're hoping to see another successful landing tonight on Just Read the Instructions. And yeah, we're just waiting for SpaceX to pull up their feed here for the launch of Starlink-20 from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station at Space Launch Complex 40. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. I know it's the middle of the night, so we're expecting lots more from Africa and Europe. So if you're there, say hello. Love to welcome you here. If you're in the United States, let me know what time it is, or Canada, or on this side of the world. I am in Mountain Standard Time, so it is just hitting 1 a.m. So we'll be here for about an hour and a half or so for it. Deployment generally takes place just over an hour into the launch. So some of the things that you can expect to see tonight after liftoff. So max Q occurs just over 73 seconds into the flight. We'll see MECO, main engine cutoff, just over 2.5 minutes into flight. First and second stage separation is just a couple seconds later, and then we'll see the second engine ignition. Fairing deployment occurs about 20 seconds later, and then we will see the first stage entry burn start up at the 6 minutes and 40-second mark into flight. And this is once the booster has come back around and is starting its re-entry to come down to Just Read the Instructions. Landing burn of the booster is expected at 8 minutes, 24 seconds into flight, and just seconds later, as well as the second stage engine cutoff. Just like the last few launches we have seen, 45 minutes into the flight, we'll see a very quick 1 second burn just to finish off that orbit. And then 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 28 seconds into flight, we are expecting to see deployment of the Starlink-20 package. So it looks like SpaceX is getting pulled up here, so I'll be swapping out with them here in just a moment, and we will listen into as they give us an update of the go, no go polls, the weather, and everything there. Again, if you have questions, let us know. Welcome here. If you're watching over on Facebook, come join us over on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. And yeah, we're glad that you are here, so welcome.
Good morning. It's Thursday, March 11th, and you are looking at a live view of Falcon 9 as it awaits its 3:13 a.m. Eastern Time launch from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. My name is Jesse Anderson, a lead manufacturing engineer here at SpaceX, joining you from our headquarters in Hawthorne, California. You're watching a live webcast for our 21st Starlink mission and our 7th launch of 2021. This is an exciting week for the Starlink teams as we're continuing our international expansion of service. If you've been following Starlink development, you know that we rolled out our beta service in the US initially, followed by Canada. This week, the team is launching our beta service in Germany and New Zealand and expanding our beta service in the UK. As a global satellite constellation, Starlink can deliver high-speed internet to places that previously had terrible service or no service at all. And because the satellites fly in a low orbit, the round-trip data time between the user and the satellite, which is also known as latency, is much lower than with satellites in geostationary orbit. This enables Starlink to deliver services like seamless video calls that are usually not possible on other satellite internet systems. We are currently T-minus 11 minutes from liftoff of our next batch of Starlink satellites. So with that, let's take a closer look at the rocket on your screen.
Hi, I'm Ian McCullough, a sourcing manager here at SpaceX. You're looking at a live view of Falcon 9 on the pad. Our two-stage launch vehicle stands about 70 meters tall, and when it is fully fueled, it'll hold just over 1 million pounds propellant that the vehicle will burn through in less than 3 minutes after liftoff. We prepped Falcon 9 in our hangar at the base of the pad. Upon completing final checkouts, Falcon 9 rolled out to the pad with the Starlink payload and went vertical Tuesday around 2:30 a.m. Eastern. The bottom two-thirds of the vehicle is the first stage. It previously flew 5 times before, having supported the launch of NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to the International Space Station, Anassys 2, CRS-21, Transporter-1, and a Starlink mission. Its objective is to accelerate the vehicle through Earth's atmosphere to space, and then to separate from the rest of the rocket. Once the first stage separates from the second stage, it will make its way back to Earth and target a landing on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. For reference, our drone ships are equivalent to the size of a football field. If successful, it will mark the 76th recovery of an orbital-class rocket. Above the first stage is the second stage, which has a single Merlin vacuum or MVAC engine that ignites after the first stage separates. At full power, the Merlin vacuum engine operates with the greatest efficiency ever for an American-made hydrocarbon rocket engine. The second stage is what will carry our Starlink orbit satellites to orbit. At the top of the rocket, you'll also notice the large nose cone. This is called the fairing. The fairing houses the Starlink satellites and protects them until the vehicle is outside of the Earth's atmosphere, at which point the fairing separates to expose the satellites to space. Today, we will be using a flight-proven fairing, and we'll be attempting to recover each half again with our recovery ships Go Searcher and Go Navigator. Lastly, the truss structure you see there is the Transporter Erector, or TE. We use it to roll the rocket out to the pad, raise it to its vertical launch position. The TE also routes the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and satellites until F9 goes on internal power and clears the pad. At liftoff, it will retract in order to clear the way for Falcon 9's ascent. At T-minus 8 minutes and 40 seconds, let's take a look at where we're progressing in the countdown.
The chief engineer held a technical poll at T-minus 1 hour, and the launch director held a propellant load and launch go-no-go poll at T-minus 38 minutes. Falcon 9 has been loading propellant since T-minus 35 minutes, and our fuel is a refined form of kerosene known as RP1. Our oxidizer is a super chilled liquid oxygen called LOX. Now we chill it well below the boiling point, which densifies the LOX so that we can load more into the boosters. We've also begun helium loading. The vehicle uses helium gas as a pressurant in the fuel and LOX tanks. As the Merlin engine pumps pull RP1 and LOX out of the tanks, we fill the empty volume, known as the ullage, with helium headed by the engine. Heating the helium helps expand it to fill the tanks. To make sure engine startup goes well, we also perform what we call engine chill, and this will happen at T-minus 7 minutes. And this is where we flow a small amount of super chilled liquid oxygen into the Merlin engine turbo pumps. And we do this to avoid a thermal shock to the system when the full flow of super chilled liquid oxygen hits the prop system. Now the vehicle is looking healthy, and we are currently working no issues. The range is green for launch, and weather is also looking really good, 90% favorable for launch this morning. All systems continue to be go for liftoff at 3:13 a.m. Eastern Time. If for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity on Friday at 2:51 a.m. Eastern Time.
If you live in a major city like we do here in Los Angeles, chances are you have easy access to great internet and never really have to think about it. However, roughly half of the world's population, or 3.6 billion people, do not have access to internet. And at a time where more people are working from home and more students are participating in virtual learning, internet connectivity across the globe is more important than ever. To that end, the Starlink team is excited to expand our beta service internationally, adding 2 brand new countries and expanding into a third. Starlink Beta is now available for the first time in Germany. This week, we rolled out service into parts of Western Germany and will continue to expand in the coming weeks. The photo you're seeing here on the screen is the first installation in Germany. You can barely make out the Starlink on the rooftop there. It's pretty exciting to see Starlink hardware in Deutschland, and we're looking forward to seeing more pictures like this in the future. The team is also rolling out first-time service in New Zealand. Service will initially be focused in the South Island, but will continue to expand rapidly this year. And last but not least, the Starlink team expanded our existing coverage in the UK to include Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland, North England, in addition to the existing coverage in the South. The image you're looking at here is from one of our first users in South Hams, Devon in the UK. They report up to 200 megabits per second at times, which is pretty exciting. During Starlink Beta, users can expect download speeds between 50 and 150 megabits per second, along with brief periods of no connectivity at all. As we launch more satellites, install more ground stations, and improve our networking software, data speed, latency, and uptime will improve dramatically. To learn more about Starlink, or to find out if service is available in your area, head on over to starlink.com.
We're currently at T-minus 5 minutes and 5 seconds, and Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of the countdown. We're currently waiting for the transporter erector, or the TE, to retract, and that's that white painted structure right behind the vehicle. What you're seeing on your screen is right behind that fairing payload. First, the TE clamps will start to open, and then the transporter erector will begin to retract away from the rocket slightly. And at T0, hydraulics will pull the TE further away from Falcon 9 as it lifts off. Now, the TE provides liquids, gases, electrical connections to the second stage, as well as air conditioning to the payload fairing. And what we'll see first is those clamps open up slowly. And once those clamps finish opening up, the TE will start to retract back.
Drawback retract in progress.
And you heard that call out and can see the clamps moving. Looks like the clamps have completed opening, so that TE should start retracting back very slowly. And it's very, very slight, but you can see the TE just slightly leaning back away from Falcon 9. The first and second stages are both nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. Super chill liquid oxygen is our propellant oxidizer, and that's what's creating those white clouds that you're seeing on your screen around Falcon 9. And that's because the warm, humid ambient air causes the liquid oxygen to turn into gas. First stage should finish prop loading at T-minus 3 minutes in a few seconds here, and second stage will finish at T-minus 2 minutes. At T-minus 60 seconds, Falcon 9 will be in startup. This means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown.
Stage 1, LOX load closed out.
And there's that call out for first stage LOX load complete. Just inside T-minus 2 seconds, we light the Merlin 1D engines. We use T-Tub as our ignition fluid. And when it mixes with oxygen, it burns a green-colored flame. We then allow the fuel into the thrust chamber, and the engine comes up to full power for liftoff at T0. Now, the Starlink payload continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather is still looking good for T0, and the range has cleared the surrounding ground, water, and airspace, and are green for launch. LOX loading should be...
LOX load closed out.
There it is. Stage 2 LOX load is now complete. So now that LOX loading is complete, we will start to clear out the LOX line on the transporter erector. So you should see some venting here in a few seconds. And there you can see on your screen, as I mentioned, those white clouds is from the vent. That's from the venting from the LOX. Now, in just 20 seconds or so, Falcon 9 will go into startup, and Stage 1 and Stage 2 will begin to pressurize for launch.
Falcon 9's in startup.
There's that startup call out. Coming up is the final go from the launch director.
So I always say at this point, remember, it can scrub down to really...
Falcon 9 Starlink LDs go for launch.
And there is that call out that we are go for launch. So all systems are
30 seconds.
All systems are go for launch. Let's listen into the terminal count and watch as Falcon 9 takes our stack of Starlink satellites into space.
So everything's go on their end. Now remember, the Falcon 9 can scrub itself really at any second. Here we go. 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. Ignition. And liftoff.
Stage 1 propulsion
Vehicle
nominal.
is pitching downrange.
T plus 40 seconds into flight, and Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying our stack of Starlink satellites to orbit. We're now throttling down our engines in preparation for max Q, which is maximum aerodynamic pressure. This is the largest structural load that the vehicle sees on ascent. We've got an awesome view of first stage of Falcon 9 there on your screen.
Max Q.
There's that call out that we've passed through max Q. Now, in about a minute, we'll have 3 events happening within seconds of each other. The first will be main engine cutoff, or what we call MECO, followed by stage separation and SES1, or second engine start 1. Now, MECO is where we shut down all 9 of the M1D engines on the first stage to slow the vehicle down in preparation for stage separation. And stage separation is where the first stage separates from the second stage.
Vehicle is following a nominal trajectory.
Good call outs there. First stage will then make its way back to Earth and attempt to land on our drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, while stage 2 continues its journey with the third event being second engine start 1. And that's where we light up that MVAC engine, and it will propel the second stage with our Starlink satellites to orbit. Now we're just about 10 seconds or so away from those 3 events. That is MECO, stage separation, and SES1.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
And there we just had MECO and stage separation. On your right-hand screen, you're looking at that MVAC engine on the second stage, confirming SES1.
Propulsion nominal.
And a good call out that stage 2 is nominal.
Continue to follow nominal trajectories.
Both vehicles are nominal.
Separation confirmed.
And there you can see on your screen the fairing halves have been deployed. They are now making their way back to Earth, and as a reminder, we will be attempting to recover the fairing halves today with our recovery ships Go Searcher and Go Navigator.
All right, as stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. The first is the entry burn, where 3 of the Merlin 1D engines will reignite, and this helps slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. The second burn is the landing burn, and this is a single engine burn that brings the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship. We're about T plus 4 minutes into flight, and if you're just catching up with us, we had a successful launch of Falcon 9 from Cape Canaveral, Space Launch Complex 40. If you're looking at a live view of the Falcon 9 Stage 2 as it delivers our Starlink payload to orbit. Stage 1 is cruising back to our drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, in the Atlantic Ocean.
So if you're wondering who I'm talking to while I'm not on mic here, I didn't forget to unmute myself. I actually got my earpiece in. I'm talking to one of the Launchpad friends that is down in the Kennedy region that's taking a really incredible long exposure shot tonight, and he says it's absolutely just gorgeous, the weather. You can still see the rocket burning with your eyes down there. So that's who I'm talking to. But another great, clear, successful launch from SpaceX. Again, just proves they know what they're doing. It's down to pretty much an easy science for them. And we're just waiting for that entry burn to see if we can have a successful recovery. Now, the Falcon 9's really done its job. The second stage is burning now, and that's what's going to complete the mission for it. If you were doing the recovery, that is not the key part of the mission. So obviously recovery is key, and that's what they want for the rapid reusability. But should something happen, that is not a failed launch issue. That's a recovery issue, and that's still a really good thing. But we're hoping to see just read the instructions, be in the right place to catch tonight's booster here with the entry burn, probably about 30 to 45 seconds or so. It was worth staying up this late to see this from at home outside. Absolutely. I am jealous of you. I am on the other side of the country and in Canada, so I am very opposite sides to see this. But hoping that maybe tomorrow we'll be able to see the trains in the night passing over where I live. Just quickly saying to some other people that were in here earlier, hello, Suzette, Sean, Patrick. We've got Northern Ireland, Vandenberg Air Force Base. We've got entry burn. We've got a good entry burn.
And there we go. We have entry burn start.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
Beautiful, and entry burn cutoff. Stage 1 is going to continue its descent to our drone ship. Just read the instructions. As stage 1 continues to descend, it uses occasional bursts of nitrogen gas for attitude control, and sometimes you can see this, although in the darkness tonight we may not be able to. To land, the Falcon 9 first stage is also equipped with 4 landing legs made of state-of-the-art carbon fiber and aluminum honeycomb. These are placed symmetrically around the base of the rocket and deployed just prior to landing. After first stage landing, stage 2 has a coast phase, then a short burn, and then another coast phase before deploying the satellites. We are about 30 seconds out from landing burn.
Stage 1 landing burn.
10 seconds out. We may see a video cut out here.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Looks like it's right on the money tonight. Right in the center. And there it is.
All right, and there you can see we landed first stage on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. This marks our 76th recovery of an orbital class rocket and the 6th recovery for this particular booster.
Seco.
And we've had second engine cut off 1.
Also signal stage 2 from the Cape as expected.
So at this point, we do now have just under an hour until we actually see deployment of Starlink payload tonight of Starlink-20. They will be coming back here in about 40 minutes to show us the second stage engine burn. It's just a quick 1-second burn, finish up that current orbit, and then they'll come back about half an hour later again for that deployment. So we're going to stick around here. I'm going to take a quick break. If you have any questions, let us know in the chat. I'm going to answer some that we already had here. So if you have questions, send them in. We're waiting for the photo from Marcus that will show later on in the night, so make sure you stick around for that. He says it's a good one tonight, and we're excited to see it. Oh, I've already got it. Ooh, very nice, Marcus. So we're going to show that a little later. So stick around here. If you're not going to stick around, make sure you're following us over on Twitter, and we'll see it. But another really great, successful launch from SpaceX. But I'm going to see what we had some comments here. Sean, great view this morning. Andrea from West Palm Beach, Florida, welcome. New Zealand from Rochelle, hello. Was a perfect dark sky for us, wasn't it? Awesome. Absolutely, Allison. I mean, even on the cameras tonight, it was such a clear view tonight, which was really nice. Great work on the money. Absolutely. 100% well done, SpaceX. Very clear from Daytona. I assume this was the booster that passed by us. Looked like a big cloud of smoke coming off of it, then a circle around. I mean, I would hope that this was the booster you were spotting. If there was another rocket in the air, might be a bigger issue. But most likely that was the one that you were seeing there. But yeah, successful recovery of the booster, which means it's going to get turned around here in the next few weeks, and we could see it fly probably as early as early May at this point. So we will be waiting to see when this booster gets flown again for the 7th time. But thank you so much for joining us. We're going to stay live here as we wait to see the second stage engine burn, that quick 1 second burn, and then deployment later on. We're going to leave SpaceX's feed up here. I'm dropping a link in the chat. That's our YouTube channel. If you're watching over on Facebook, come on over to YouTube, hit subscribe. 100% of our content goes out on YouTube, and we generally only cover our launches and Starship testing on Facebook. So make sure you join us there so you don't miss our exclusive interviews, our one-on-one conversations, our other videos and stuff. We got a lot coming that we're really excited about, and we're going to be keeping up all the information on Inspiration 4 as one of their information kind of partners, getting to interview the crew here hopefully in a couple weeks. So we're really excited about that as they get ready to announce. But I'm going to take a quick break. Again, if you have questions, let me know in the chat. I'll pop back on and off as we wait for the second stage engine ignition for the second time. You're watching the Launchpad Live. My name's Zach. This is our live Starlink coverage, and we will see you in a little bit. Stay with us.
Lost a signal different than expected. Acquisition of signal at Goonhilly. Lost the signal, Goon Hilly expected. Acquisition signal Diego Garcia.
Welcome back to the webcast for our 21st Starlink mission from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. So far, we had an on-time liftoff at 3:13 a.m. Eastern Time. Stage 1 came back to land on Just Read the Instructions. That is our 76th recovery of a booster. Now we're waiting on SES-2 coming up here, which is second engine start 2. And this will be a very short, quick burn, just about 1 second, but it will take us to our final drop-off orbit. And there you could see it was a very quick burn, but we did have SES-2 and SECO-2. We got a call out.
Nominal orbit insertion.
There we go. Call out for good burn and a call out for good nominal insertion. Again, our Starlink sats will ultimately end up in a LEO, or low Earth orbit, around 550 kilometers above Earth's surface, which is different than your typical geostationary or GeoSat, which orbits roughly 36,000 kilometers above Earth. We have another 15-minute coast phase before we deploy our next batch of Starlink satellites into orbit. And during this time, the spacecraft will start to spin along its central axis, giving the Starlink satellites the momentum that they need to space themselves out over time after they deploy. While this happens, sit back and enjoy some more Space Jams. We'll see you back here at
Signal Diego Garcia expected.
We'll see you back here at T+1 hour and 4 minutes.
Acquisition of signal, Tasmania.
Welcome back to our webcast for Starlink. We had an on-time liftoff this morning. Our first stage booster landed for its 6th time and our 76th recovery overall. Stage 2 completed its 2 burns, and now we are coming up on the deployment of our Starlink satellites. We have a good, nice live view there on your screen, so we should see these deploy here shortly. We've got the sun beaming there in the background. Just about 10 seconds away from payload deploy.
Payload deployed.
Now you can see those Starlink satellites out in space drifting away from second stage. As a reminder, this is just their drop-off orbit. Shortly, they will deploy their solar array, and over the next few days and weeks, they will distance themselves from each other and use their onboard ion thrusters to make their way to their operational orbit.
And that brings our webcast to a close. Thank you to the range and the FAA for supporting today's mission. If you're interested in Starlink service, head over to starlink.com and sign up. Thanks again for joining us, and have a good morning.